But the way this particular summit has done is so haphazard. We don't even know what the goals are. Is it a ceasefire? Is it a deal? Because actually it might just be a sounding out session is what Trump has actually sometimes said it would be.
It's 8 hours until talks begin in Anchorage, the highly anticipated summit between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. So it kicks off really at 8 o'clock British time in the evening. Donald Trump has been speaking ahead of the meeting.
We have a meeting with President Putin tomorrow. I think it's going to be a good meeting, but the more important meeting will be the second meeting that we're having. We're going to have a meeting with President Putin, President Zelensky, myself, and maybe we'll bring some of the European leaders along, maybe not. I don't know that it's going to be very important. We're going to see what happens. And I think President Putin will make peace. I think President Zelensky will make peace. We'll see if they can get along. And if they can, it'll be great.
And the Defence Secretary, John Healey, also spoke to Times Radio earlier this morning, saying what he hoped would come out of the summit.
We want to see this as the first step to the end of the fighting, the first step towards serious negotiations in which Putin and Russia are serious about a long-term peace, in which the Ukrainians are involved, because you can't have decisions and negotiations about Ukraine without Ukraine.
It's interesting hearing Trump talk where he basically says he's going to sit down with Putin and then sit down with Putin and Zelensky. That's absurd, Michael, isn't it?
Well, it is pretty absurd because there's absolutely no assurance that Putin will agree to meet Zelensky.
Absolutely.
And he's saying all sorts of things, we're going to do this and then we're going to do that. Well, that depends on how the talks go. And if he just meets a blank, if he meets a sort of stone wall from Putin, which is quite likely, and then he has to decide, do I get tough, do I get angry, what do I do now? Or do I start bargaining about this or that? And the other problem is it looks as though they're putting everything in the reverse order. They're sort of muttering about, possible investment in Russia, oil and gas and all that sort of thing. They haven't even got a ceasefire. Surely the first thing to negotiate is a ceasefire. You can't do anything before you've got that.
Absolutely. Cindy, you're nodding your head along to that. I mean, it is an absurd thing, although when Michael mentions oil and gas, I can't help thinking whether Putin's simply going to say, we'll give you all the oil, Donald, if you give us what we want.
Yeah, I'm not sure tying oil and gas consumption up with Russia is the best learning from the Ukraine invasion. But yeah, I'm nodding because I think on this, the European approach has been much more reasonable, just in terms of a ceasefire first, Kiev in the room, and then also security guarantees for Ukraine in the future, because how do you know that Russia's not going to come back for another slice, for another bite in a few years' time? You just don't right now. So I think, obviously Trump wants to get this war finished, and I do think that the maximalist position, that is if you think that Ukraine won't lose anything at all from this situation, I think that's probably unrealistic. There probably has to be some compromises. But the way this particular summit has done is so haphazard. We don't even know what the goals are. Is it a ceasefire? Is it a deal? Because actually it might just be a sounding out session is what Trump has actually sometimes said it would be.
That's what it does sound like. I mean, that's the best way I think he can get away with this summit, which I think is going to be a complete disaster, is simply to say, well, I've started a dialogue. Just out of interest, Cindy, as you're on and you're a great expert on China and China politics, President Xi will simply be kind of sitting this one out and observing, won't he? He's not particularly interested in engaging.
No, I mean, the Russian invasion kind of suits China in the sense that it diverts Western attention. That's why when the Europeans are annoyed about why China's not helping them end the war a bit more, it's like, well, yeah, because then when the war's over, the West's going to be targeting China next. So it suits Beijing right now. After this summit, Putin is going to China for
the VJ, as it were, we call it VJ Day celebration. Yeah. Because you forget that 20 million Chinese were killed in that.
I mean, the Japanese went to China first. So it's World War II really was a big thing in Asia as well. So Putin will be going for that, as well as for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is a kind of a Chinese multilateral organization as well. So we'll get a debrief on what's been said.
And Michael, Steve Witkoff, who is obviously an expert in geopolitics, having worked in real estate for 50 years, has talked about a sort of West Bank style occupation for Ukraine. What on earth does that mean?
absolutely nothing at all. No idea. I mean, the West Bank at the moment is a disaster anyway. I mean, the people are being pushed out by very, very aggressive settlers, and the occupation of the West Bank is illegal in any case under international law. And so I don't know what he has in mind for Ukraine. Does that mean somebody's going to take charge of Ukraine and there will be a military occupation of some kind? There's no sense to that.
Right. Well, let's talk very briefly before we head to the news about the other breaking news from Donald Trump, which is he's reviving the presidential fitness test. It's actually not a test for presidents. It's a national physical fitness testing program conducted in US public middle and high schools. It ran from the late 1950s. President Obama abandoned it in 2012. Cindy, this is just PE, isn't it? I mean,
I've got kind of trauma of bleep test in the school.
Did you ever get? There are moments when everyone bangs on about the Canadian Air Force test. No. Every decade or so, the Canadian Air Force test emerges as the perfect 15 minutes of exercise you can do. This is what it reminds me of. I mean, maybe we should have a prime ministerial fitness test in British schools. I
thought that's what you said that Trump was suggesting first, and to prevent someone like Biden ever getting back in again, because Trump's actually quite fit. But I assume this is a RFK kind of proposal to kind of make America more healthy, and America does have a massive health issue. I think the UK has a massive obesity issue as well. So I think more focus on fitness. I can get behind this Trump policy.
Yeah, I think we do have an obesity problem in this country, but we do take our sport quite seriously. I mean, there's always a debate about playing fields being sold off, not enough sport being done.
They shouldn't be sold off. No,
but in some ways, I quite like this kind of Back to the Future idea of a government-sponsored annual fitness test for our school kids.
Yeah, I don't know whether it could be an annual one. I mean, regular fitness as part of the school curriculum is very important. And I think regular exercise in any way, either organised sport or just people set a series of exercises they should do to keep them in shape and tell them not to eat too much and stop eating sweets and burgers and all the things that are bad for you. I mean, Trump is hardly an example of what to eat. I mean, he has a diet of burgers and Diet Coke. I think that's all he ever eats. And one wonders how he ever manages a state banquet.
But so much of this is genetic, because Trump is he comes across as a very high energy person. And you yourself, Michael, are an incredibly youthful figure, and yet you don't strike me as someone who kind of jogged regularly.
No, and I should. I'd be more youthful if I jogged more often, and certainly I ought to do various exercises, and people have shown me how to do sort of stomach crunches and things, which would be, well, I suppose I could try, but yeah, it's important to keep fit. It's important not to eat too much, that's the first thing, and just to keep awake and alive and to keep fit. Yes, I mean, what's the old motto? In mens sana in corpore sano, as all us Latin speakers know.
Well, we won't ask David Cameron to translate that. Cindy, fitness regimes in China. I mean, Chinese schools have proper exercise mornings, don't they?
Yeah. I went to 3 years of primary education in China, and we had pretty serious PE lessons, and it was all very ranked as well. They didn't shy away from telling you that you were not as good as your classmate and how fast you ran compared to everyone else. We also used to have eye exercises. So kind of physical related, but in between classes, a teacher would kind of lead you to massage your temples and your eyebrows and your eyes.
I've heard about these.
And they're really good. They're really, really good.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah. And that, so you have like 30 kids sitting in class, all kind of massaging their face.
What is that meant to do then?
It relaxes for eye strain, it relaxes the nerves and the muscles around your face. So if you're studying for 12 hours a day, which Chinese kids are, then it's meant to be some kind of light